Duffield from @DuffieldTrading.com, and tonight I'm doing a penny stock recap on WTW and ZFGN. Those were the two hot plays of the day that I was watching. And before I do the analysis, I do want to remind you that the video is for educational purposes only. I'm not a registered investment advisor, so you do need to make your own trading decisions. Okay, so WTW was almost a penny stock before today. It was trading down at $6.80 per share as of Friday's close. And news this morning that Oprah bought into the company, I think it was like a 10% stake. She's a billionaire investor. Caused this to gap up huge to $12 per share. And from there, after a little dip to, I think it was a low of 1080, the stock just shot higher and it grinded higher all day long. From what I understand, there's about a 30 million share float, and last count, there were 15 million shares short. So even though probably a lot of long-term holders were selling into this rally, there was probably a lot of short covering driving this higher too. So I did watch this all morning into the afternoon, and I just couldn't get myself to pull the trigger. It's tough when a stock is just gradually moving higher, just a steady climb, making new highs followed by little dips. It can be tough to know your entry, especially when this thing was already up 100%. So it did grind higher until about 2 o'clock today. It finally popped. It got that blow off top up to, I think it was 1509 for the high. And then after that, it did sell off a bit. Let me go to the 1 minute chart. Let's go to 6 hours. Okay, so it started to sell off, bounced a little bit back to 15, and when that failed, price just really sank. And I was so tempted to buy this at 14.50 at this prior low, but I didn't because, well, obviously I felt like there were 50 cents of upside to 15, but also a quick 50 cents of downside down to the $14 level. And even there, that was only shaky support. So I sat on my hands some more and waited until this got down to 14, and I realized, hey, it's gone this far. It might dip all the way to this 1370, which should now be a support level, former resistance. And it did. It did exactly that. It bottomed at 1370, right there at 333. And I entered, I think, at 1378. It's tough to get the best price, but I was happy with that. All I was looking for was a quick, sharp bounce. You know, this had already sold off over $1 per share from the high, and it was selling off into fairly strong intraday support. So I took my chances. I think I bought 440 shares at 1378, and I sold into this bounce at 1417. Nearly got the bottom and nearly got the top. Completely happy with it. It was a 2.8% gain, but still $150. So I took it. I was happy. I'll just look for better plays tomorrow, better opportunities, because obviously this did close at 1392. I think it has a little more downside from here. It's got to start to correct. Going out to the daily chart, let me show you let's go 10 months back. This was a nice candle here today. It did close in the upper range at 1392, but I wanted to see it close above this 1420, I think it was 1420 from that gap down. So I do think this is going to continue higher. I'm not saying tomorrow, but maybe over the coming days and weeks, and it is going to fill this gap. I think at this point it has to fill that gap to 1640. So my trigger is going to be a move above 1420, because as you can see, from 1420 to 1640, there's no resistance. So I don't know if that'll be tomorrow or in the coming days. I think tomorrow it definitely dips again. I mean, that's my opinion for now. But when it comes back above 1420, I'll be looking to buy. I might even be late on it. I might buy at 1450 or even a break over $15 to be on the safe side, because at that point, it's almost a given that it's going to fill that gap. And that would be, 8, 9, 10% gain. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at with WTW. Another hot play of the day was ZFGN. It wasn't really on a lot of traders' radars today. It wasn't really hot in the chat rooms or anything like that. But Friday, it did close at $10 a share, and it bounced to 12 today. So that's a nice, around about 20% gain. And I did draw this little triangle in here, a little symmetrical triangle for the day. And price did break out towards the end. I don't think it means a whole lot. But let me go into the intraday chart. So with this move, it was a sharp move from 10 to 12 bucks. And when it started to sell off here to 11.50, I thought, well, there's not a lot of support in that range. I'd like to see it come down to maybe a support level or a Fibonacci retracement. And I ran my fib numbers and realized that I think it was a 50% Fibonacci retracement was around $11, and a 61.8 was at about 1079 or thereabouts. And guess what? It tagged 1076 right here, so within pennies, and then bounced a little bit and then bounced sharply back to 1150. I didn't buy. I kind of wish I would have. That would have been a nice 5 or 6% gain, but the volume is kind of light on this one, so it's a little tricky. But it's a great example of how you can use Fibonacci retracements to time your entries. So you could have bought, you could have done your Fibonacci retracement calculation from the $12 high and realized 1079 was the number that it could possibly hit. It had some support in here, and you could have timed a good entry. Like I always point out, a lot of other penny stock traders aren't really using fibs too well or Elliott wave analysis, and I do try to incorporate those along with all the candlestick analysis and basic trend lines and support and resistance, things like that. So tomorrow, the reason I'm pointing this one out in particular, I think it can rally back to 13 bucks a share, maybe even 14. So I do want to really keep an eye on this. This thing has sold off so heavily, and that's not a reason to buy by any means. It's come down from 45 all the way to 10 bucks in just, gosh, a month. On news that I think a patient died in their clinical trials. So it is pretty devastating news, and obviously that's what it can do to a stock. I don't think this is the bottom, but I do think it could bounce strongly. Just 2 days ago, it was at 21, it fell all the way to 10. Now you're getting a little bit of a bounce. Even if this is a corrective bounce, as I'm implying, that that it's not the all-out bottom, I think this should bounce up to $13, possibly even 14. And then if not, you're going to be looking at a downside risk of probably $10 for a double bottom. Or, if a double bottom doesn't materialize, look out, it's heading much lower. But in the morning, what I'm going to be looking for, if I consider buying in, this end-of-day rally, I don't feel that strongly about that. It looks like a corrective kind of move, similar to this one here. And as you can see, price stair-step lower after that. So if we get the same thing in the morning with an open right here, I would expect price to stair-step down to about 1120, 1130. But then from there, it might get a big, sharp spike, similar to this one right here. And it's really up to you where you'd want to enter. I think if I consider buying into this, it's going to be a break of this high right here, 1160. And to be on the really safe side, probably wait for 12 bucks a share, because above $12, you can see if you get above $12, it's clear sailing to $13. So I just wanted to point this out. I think it could be a good play tomorrow or in the coming days, and it wasn't really a hot play of the day for many of the chat rooms. But I don't like to just do a recap on maybe the biggest runners of the day all the time, because some die off and then they're dead. So even with this one gaining 20%, and I don't know what it was on the closing, maybe 12% gain on the day, I think it has more in it with a good risk to reward potential. So That's it, guys. Good luck tomorrow, and I'll be tweeting and posting in stock twits what I plan to trade for the day.